Are they an avoidant? Or are they just not that into you? It can be really confusing to tell the difference, but there are some telltale signs. If they're an avoidant, early in the relationship, before their fears are triggered, they are likely to be showing up for you. They may even pursue you and make it very well known that they're interested in you. They may be affectionate, and they may even initiate plans with you. Now, if they're just not that into you, they're not going to really come across that strong in the beginning. They might spend time with you if you initiate it, but they're not going to be the ones initiating plans, and it's not going to feel like the strong, magical connection. With an avoidant, the chemistry and the connection is typically off the charts. And they can even say stuff like, wow, where were you in my life before? You make me feel like nobody else has ever made me feel, etc., etc. If they're just not that into you, most communication needs to start with you. They're not going to really initiate any communication, texts, or phone calls with you, and they won't initiate any kind of plans. If they're an avoidant, they will likely initiate communication with you and may even initiate making some plans. Now, it's not uncommon for an avoidant to cancel plans last minute as a way to keep emotional distance between themselves and their partner, but they will at least make an attempt to make plans with you, to make time for you, and to communicate with you. When an avoidant has their fears triggered, they often can disappear, pull back. They can disappear for hours or even days. But with an avoidant, when you give them time and space and you don't pressure them and you don't pursue them, they come back to you. If they're just not that interested in you, they're not going to come back to you. They're just going to pull away for days, weeks, or even months. And the only time they'll talk to you is if you reach out to them first. Now, both avoidants and people that are just not that into you may be hesitant when it comes to commitment. When you ask if you want to be an official item, they both can give excuses like they're just not ready for a relationship right now. I just need something casual. I'm just not ready. However, the person that's not into you is not really going to make it very clear that they even want to be with you in any capacity. The avoidant, however, is very likely to make it clear that they do want to be with you. They just don't want a title on the relationship. Can't we just be natural with each other? Can't we just let it flow? I'm just not ready for a title. But they will make it clear that they do have interest in you. The person that's just not that into you is not going to make that clear. And they're really going to make it feel like they're just not that interested in you because they're not. An avoidant, well, they really do seem interested in you. And that is precisely why it's so frustrating, because they act like they're all into you, but then they do these distancing behaviors. Understand, an avoidant has a set of fears. These fears are abandonment, rejection, and engulfment. Engulfment is the fear of losing themselves in a relationship to somebody who's ultimately going to abandon and reject them. So they create emotional distance between themselves and their partner. That's how they've learned to keep themselves safe, especially when their fears are triggered. And a loving, healthy, consistent partner is going to trigger the avoidant fears. But on one hand, part of them really does long for a connection. They long for love. They want companionship. But when they get it, it scares them and they can often run from it. That's why you get these very mixed messages from an avoidant. They can act like they really are into you, but act like they're not at the same time. A person that is genuinely just not that into you is not going to really give you the mixed messages. They're just not going to seem all that interested. And they may spend time or mess around with you if you initiate and if you pursue it. Either way, if you want a serious relationship and you want a partner that is going to commit to you and give you the same effort in return that you're willing to invest in them, hold your boundaries, because if this person is not showing any concern to meet your needs and be truly, consistently, emotionally present with you, and you allow this dynamic to continue, you're only pushing yourself further into anxiety, into anxious attachment, because you're subconsciously sending yourself the message that your feelings, your wants, your needs don't matter. And they do matter. So hold a boundary. Your boundary is your limits of what you will and will not tolerate, what you want, don't want, and need and don't need. These are very important, and a healthy, loving, consistent partner that is emotionally invested in you is going to show concern for your wants and needs and your boundaries. A person that is not emotionally invested, a person that's walled off or just not that interested, is not going to spend effort taking care of your needs, your wants, or showing you respect to your boundaries. Your boundaries are your sword and shield. They're how you protect your heart from a person that is not investing in you in return.